All right, you guys, I just did an interview here with Cameron, who was telling me about an incident where he was leaving his job at the hair salon here in Clovis in the Walmart parking lot and got pulled over and basically had the cops hassle him to the point of searching his car, finding a little nug of marijuana. He's a card holder here in the state of California and was threatened to take him to jail if he didn't give up some kind of a source on crank or something. I don't know, you have to watch the other video. Anyway, it sounds to me like it's an assault on the young white males in our city, and we all know that if they get ticketed and drug into the system, then they can take away their rights to bear guns. So after I finished the interview with Cameron here, he was telling me of another incident that happened how long after this Walmart parking lot incident?
About 2 months after.
2 months. So it sounds like you're a red flag in their database, baby. And this happened in front of your house.
In front of my house, in
all
my
right.
neighborhood.
Well, why don't you tell us this story, Cameron, because it's really of great concern to We Are Changed Fresno TV that this is going on against all the white local men, and it's going on against the girls too. Don't be buffaloed. In the state of New Mexico, they're actually pulling young women over, and I hate to use this language, but they're doing full body cavity searches on the sides of the roads, and I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. So it's critical that we get stories like yours and other people's stories out so that we know where to draw the line, and there are some things you can do as a citizen when you are pulled over, and one would be not to speak. You don't have to roll your window down. You don't have to get out of the car. You don't have to say anything to them. And you can ask them, am I being arrested or detained? And if they don't answer you, then you can request to be free on your way. And I would suggest you go do some research on that on YouTube, and there's websites that you can follow up on those. So tell us this particular story in front of your house, Cameron.
Okay, I just steps outside of my house around 10 o'clock.
PM?
10 p.m. And same house I've lived in for 25 years.
Okay.
And I was parked across the street directly from my house, and I got inside my car, and I got a text message on my phone, so I pulled out my phone before I started my engine or anything.
Being a good law-abiding citizen.
Yeah.
Good job,
And
good
I
job.
sent out my text message, and I'm setting music on my phone. The next thing I see a spotlight shining, and I look in my mirror, and there's a police car right behind me just pulled up, and comes up to the window was a woman, and she asked me what I'm doing, and I explained that I lived here and I just got in my car. And
Is that against the law?
Yeah, and she's like, give me just a second. And so she steps aside back to her car, and when she slides away, all of a sudden another police officer walks up to the window. Same guy from the previous video.
The one here in the Walmart parking lot.
The same guy.
Okay.
And he says, "How you doing, Cameron?" And I'm like, I'm doing good. And he's like, "So how much money did you pay in fees at court?"
Wow.
And I'm like, I don't really see how that's relevant to anything. I don't see how that's any of your business. And he's like, "Did Mommy help you out?"
Cameron, I want to ask you a question because that seems to me like a direct attack at you by the same officer. Did you file any sort of complaint with the Clovis Police Department about this particular officer?
I have not.
Is that something you would do if you had a little support from the community?
Okay. If I had support, and before what happened next was they made me step out of the car, and they made me sit on the curb, and I was like, I don't understand.
In the cold?
Yeah, in the cold. And I was like, I don't understand what's going on. This is my house. And it's like, well, there's been a report of burglaries around here. And I was like, funny, because I haven't heard anything about that. And my family hasn't heard anything about burglaries. But, okay, I mean, I understand, if you see someone suspicious. But I just stepped in my car, and I wouldn't burglarize my own house.
And if you had lived there for 25 years, obviously your neighbors know you and your car. Okay,
yeah.
So go on. What happened next?
Said, like, this car, I was like, my car has been here for years and years. Like, it's nothing new. No one even had time to call the police yet in the amount of time I've been there. They're just patrolling.
You're not the only one that I've interviewed on something similar, so go ahead.
And so I'm on the curb, and the guy says the same thing as last time. He says, so yeah, you're on probation to where I can search your car if I want. And I was like, you said that? I said, you said that last time, and it's not true. I'm not on any type of probation.
That sounds like a common denominator I wonder who else is having these problems out there in the community. So go ahead.
And so the woman says, she says, there's nothing illegal in your car. And I was
She
like,
searched your car?
And I said, no, there's nothing illegal in my car. And she's like, well, I'm going to go ahead and take a look. And, you know.
See how she invited herself into your car?
Yeah, well, first she opens up the doors. And she starts like she's gonna go in and look, and I said, so I guess we're just searching my car without my permission or anything, right?
Right.
And she's like, well, what did she say? She said, well, if you have nothing to hide, then you don't mind if I take a peek.
Well, that
quick.
sure sounds like typical Obama communist
And I was
line.
I was like, if this will help move things along, I'll only let you take a look if you promise not to throw things everywhere and put things back where they belong, because I've had incidents where they go in and rip everything out and eat. I've even had a time where I've had my car searched just because I was driving home at night in Clovis, just driving home, and I've been pulled over just because, and they searched my car and I got Taco Bell and they ate some of my Taco Bell.
Here in Clovis.
And they threw some of
Here
it
in
over
Clovis.
Here in Clovis.
Wow.
And so I told her that, and she was like, okay. And then so
did she search your car?
she searched my car, and she didn't find anything. She found a tobacco pipe, and I showed her. I said, in the passenger side, I have paperwork. You know, I'm not doing anything. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't doing nothing wrong. So they're coming over, and while the whole time she's searching in my car, I got this other guy from the time before, the same guy from the time before. He's saying stuff directly to me, so the other officer doesn't hear. And he's
Good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, he's saying stuff, and every word that comes out of his mouth, he's trying to set me up. He's like, so you got a smoking device in your car, huh? And I was like, yep. And he's like, and you're about to drive your car, like that. And I'm like, well, yeah. And he was
They're
like,
entrapment.
And he's like,
That's entrapment.
And he's like, and you've smoked today. And I said, I smoked earlier today, a long time ago. Yes, I have paperwork for it, like I said. And he's like, so you smoked today, and you're gonna drive your car. And I was like, you know what? No, you know what? I have the right to remain silent. I'm not gonna play these games.
That's your Fifth Amendment, yeah.
I told him I'm not gonna play these games. I'm using my Fifth Amendment, and they come back. And I'm still on the curb in front of my house, and they're taking pictures of my face, mugshot. They're getting pictures of
No, that's
my
a sure
arms.
violation of your
They're
privacy.
asking me
Did they give you a search warrant or any kind of...
No,
nothing at all.
And they're asking me if I have tattoos on my chest, and they're making me expose my chest.
And you did it?
I don't have anything.
Did you show them, though?
I had to.
No, you don't
I
have
didn't
to.
At that point, I asked, so what, because I knew that they couldn't detain me unless they suspected me of committing a crime, but I told them, I was like, so what's going on here? What's going on? And then they're like, nothing's going on. You haven't done anything wrong.
And then
it sure seems
they
like
just left after that, after they took your pictures?
After about 45 minutes to an hour and taking pictures and all that, they left. But when the woman came back and the guy, she asked me, so how much did you pay for this? And I thought she was talking about my court fees again. Like why do they keep asking me how much I paid for it in court? And I was like, the same thing I told him. I don't really see how that's relevant. But she was talking about my paperwork for my card.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh. And then she's like, why are you talking to him? He's not the one who's in charge here. And at that point, I knew that
they're setting you up.
She was a genuine, a good officer.
You think.
So I think. But she had authority over him. So that's why
now,
I got away.
Do you know who she is? Do you know her name and badge number?
I don't know her name.
You have paperwork on either of these incidents that you could provide to me if I...
The guy, okay. I have the guy, the one. And I know that if she wasn't there, I know that something would have happened to me from that guy. He would have...
You felt threatened? Do you feel endangered by him?
I knew it. I knew something would have happened. He would have written me a ticket for something. He would have gotten me if she wasn't there. But I knew because she had authority over him. And because she was there and she said she was the one who was in charge, that...
So now when you're out in public here in Clovis, are you walking on pins and needles, looking over your shoulders? Do you feel like you're being stalked by this
I feel
Officer,
like
the male one?
at any given time, at any point in time, if I'm in Clovis, I could be pulled over for any reason at all and have my car searched against my will.
All right, here you go, local folks. Here's another young man that's being hassled by the local Clovis PD. I know of many in Fresno that are being hassled. Everybody needs to get familiar with their constitutional rights. You do have rights as a human being. You have rights set in the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, Bill of Rights, obviously. There's no right, they have no right to be taking you out of your car and searching your car without having a warrant. And the next time, you need to do a little bit of research on this. You don't have to open your door. You don't even have to put your window down, but just about an inch. You have the right to ask, am I being detained? And if not, you have the right to ask them to go free on your way. So bone up on those skills. It's obvious that you're in a hot seat. And I would anticipate that you'll see more of this activity. I know some other young men are having a lot of activity. That's like everywhere they go, the cops are there, period. In a conversation, one's a young vet. He's like, I don't know, 23 here in town. So for all of you listening to us out there in cuckoo land, because we really live in a science fiction movie at this particular point, bone up on your constitutional rights and get involved. We are Change Fresno TV, coming to you live from Clovis, California.